Over the years, we have seen many retcons in Pokemon, and of course this makes sense because the franchise is like 27 years old and still growing, so it makes sense that things would change over the years. Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're talking about some of the saddest retcons that have happened in Pokemon's history. You know, some things are for the better, but there are times where our favorite franchises will retcon something, and it's kind of like, I liked it better the other way, and that's what we're talking about here, because Pokemon really is no stranger to this. So, the first one is, we're going to start small, work our way up, but the first one is the fact that Pikachu learns Surf, and now, in a way, this is bittersweet, because Pikachu and Raichu, they needed some kind of buff, so giving them Surf, a move that, you know, defeats their one type weakness, is pretty nice. But the sad thing about this is that Surf and Pikachu has had such a important relationship over the franchise's course. You know, Surfing Pikachu was like a legend. Like, it was like a mythical Pokemon, really. People went nuts when the Pokemon Company would announce a mystery gift that was a Pikachu that could learn Surf. It was insane. Everyone loved that. And yet, they just eventually gave Pikachu Surf, and so these past Pikachus are no longer special. You know, there's even an anime episode. I actually watched it this morning before recording this. Not for recording this, just happened to be on it. But where there is a Pikachu that is really good at surfing. And, you know, it's sad now because since Pikachu just learned Surf, these surfing Pikachus are not special anymore. They are just like every other Pikachu. I guess we can still hold on to the fact that, like, hey, you know, this is still special because it couldn't learn Surf here in Gen 4, but like if you've transferred your mystery gift Pikachu up to home and are planning on putting it in Gen 9, you know, when home releases, then that Pikachu, it's not special because it knows Surf. You know, if you've got it in a Cherish Ball, great, that's something, but it knowing Surf is not special at all. It also is kind of sad too, because I think Alolan Raichu should have had Surf from the beginning. You could get a surfing Alolan Raichu in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but they then later, you know, made it just where Pikachu learned Surf, so now every Alolan Raichu can learn Surf, and I do think Alolan Raichu should have had it from the beginning, because that's its whole thing, it's a surfer. But it's especially sad now, because since Pikachu can learn Surf naturally, you can get a Cantonium Raichu that knows Surf, and also Cantonium Raichu can just learn Surf, so Alolan Raichu just doesn't have that specialty to it. I guess it still has the Psychic typing, so we can hold on to that. But yeah, it's always been one that, like, again, it's bittersweet. I'm glad that the line got something for coverage, but Surfing Pikachu isn't special anymore, and it never will be again. Now, moving into the next thing, we have to talk about the thing that had everyone, both anime fans and video game fans alike, absolutely riot, and that is the big Ash Greninja retcon. So, the history of this, if you're, you know, newer to the franchise, is basically way back in Pokemon X and Y. When the anime started getting into the X, Y, and Z arc, they did a special thing where Ash could basically form a bond with his Greninja that was so powerful, Greninja could change into a form that kind of looks similar to Ash, and so it was dubbed by Bonnie as Ash Greninja, and it would get a really big power boost from this. Now, this was then implemented into the games in Pokemon Sun and Moon. You could get a Greninja by playing the demo version that had the Battle Bond ability, and it could, again, when it would defeat a Pokemon, it would transform into this Ash Greninja form, and it'd get a power boost. Water Shuriken would do more damage with it. It was so cool. Well, then, Greninja sat out in Gen 8. It was not available in either Sword and Shield, or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, or Legends Arceus. But when it came back in Gen 9, because it is now available in Paldea, Battle Bond is still in the coding. However, it does something completely different. Now, when Greninja defeats a Pokemon, it gets a boost in its attack, special attack, and speed, I believe, which is a fine ability, but this form of Greninja is lost forever, it seems. And, you know, there is a reference to this form of Greninja in a painting in Nemona's house that references like a hero Pokemon, and it clearly is kind of like a Picassoed version of Ash Greninja. And many people are holding on to the hope that they will reintroduce Ash Greninja as some kind of alternate form, whether it's like a Terrestrial form that Greninja will get, or a Mega Evolution, or even a Paradox of Greninja. Something. People are really holding on to the hope that Greninja could get something down the line that represents this Ash Greninja. It comes back in some way, shape, or form. But as for right now, it seems that isn't the case. And then the anime has been very confusing on it, because while they have featured Ash Greninja in many moments, like in the opening for Aim to be a Pokemon Master, which was the last little stint that Ash kind of had on his journey with Brock and Misty, it was in the opening. But if you look at the episode where Ash reunites with Greninja, at no point does Greninja take the Ash Greninja form, and in all the flashbacks that Ash has to his time with Greninja, Greninja is depicted as regular Greninja and not Ash Greninja, in moments where he should have been Ash Greninja. So it's really sad, and I'm a big Greninja fan. That's probably in my top 6, if not top 10 Pokemon. And it is sad to know that, like, this form that was exclusive to it, and a whole gimmick that was exclusive to it, you know, the bomb phenomenon, that wasn't given to any Pokemon. Balbon is Greninja's ability only. So Ash Greninja, you know, that Ash form is only able to be taken on by Greninja. It's gone forever, and that really sucks. But yeah, it does seem that Ash Greninja's gone forever. Let me know in the comments if you think that they'll bring it back as some kind of Terrestrial form or Paradox or something in the future. Sticking with the anime for a moment, we have to talk about the GS Ball. This one sucks. This is so sad. So basically, in the anime, in the original series, after Ash beats the league, or not beats the league, actually he loses in the league, but after he does his first league, I should say, he is given a task by Professor Oak to go get this GS Ball, and basically it ends up, he's like, okay, now take that with you to Kurt in the Johto region, and Ash ends up traveling, like, through all of Orange Islands. He has this GS Ball on him. Then he has the GS Ball with him for most of Johto. They even kind of do some episodes around it, like an episode where Quagsire steals it. And so it's insane. It's like, what is in this GS Ball? What's it going to do? I have so many questions. And then he meets Kurt. Here it is. We're gonna get something with the GS Ball. And he goes, here's the GS Ball, Kurt. Oh, thank you, Ash. And that's it. Never comes up again. Ever. And now, if you're watching through the series, you might think this is just poor writing, but it actually wasn't. This is the result of pretty much a retcon, I guess you could say. It's kind of like a retcon. Well, basically, this was supposed to be a big plot where Ash was going to learn that there is a Celebi inside of the GS Ball, and there was going to be a big Celebi arc with Celebi, you know, traveling with Ash and company, and again, this GS Ball storing Celebi. But what ended up happening was they ended up coming up with Pokemon Forever, which is the movie with Celebi and Suicune. And since Celebi plays such a crucial role in this movie, they basically decided, hey, you know, it's a little redundant to do a big movie about Celebi and then a big anime plot about, or episode plot about Celebi. So let's just, you know, have him give the GS Ball to Kurt like he's supposed to and it not be a thing. And so that's the route they went, but it is really sad because you have to wonder how this GS Ball plot could have turned out. And, like, yeah, it's cool that Celebi got its own movie, but at the same time, you know, we don't know how long this Celebi arc could have been, you know. It could have been a multi-episode arc. Like, Celebi could have been with them for, you know, 20 episodes and just have its occasional episode all culminating in a 2 or 3 part episode at the end. So, in a way, we could have had more Celebi from the anime's plot, from the episode's plot, rather, I should say. But no, we got this scrapped for the movie, and we'll kind of never really know what happened here with this big episode plot that they were supposed to do with Celebi. That really sucks, because that was really cool, and it also, it makes the GS Ball whole arc pretty dumb and unnecessary, frankly. But yeah, moving into the next one, this one's going to be a little bit controversial, and it certainly isn't that big of a deal, but this is the Professor Oak retcon. And what this is basically when you play Red and Blue, Professor Oak is credited as the man who invented the Pokedex. He is the one who made the Pokedex. Huge deal. Well, then you may have even seen all the memes about this when Legends Arceus was releasing, but they basically confirmed that, hey, actually, Professor Oak did not invent the Pokedex. The first Pokedex was made by Professor Laventon in the Hisui region. Now, this has kind of easily been written off as Oak probably isn't a liar. Probably what it is Oak invented the first electronic Pokedex, whereas Laventon's Pokedex was just basically a photo album with information about the Pokemon, but it was not by any means electronic. So that is an easy way to chalk it up to, but it is kind of sad because it was cool that Oak had such a high influence over the series, you know, because you didn't have Laventon until Gen 8, at the tail end of Gen 8. So you play through the very first Gen 1 games all the way through Sword and Shield, every single game getting a Pokedex, and it's kind of just cool knowing, like, this was made by Professor Oak, the first professor in the franchise. He still holds weight in every game because he made this Pokedex device right here. And then you find out, no, he didn't. He may have made the device. He did not make the Pokedex. That was not an original idea. So it is kind of sad. Again, it's certainly not as big of a deal as Ash Greninja or even the Pikachu surfing thing, but it is one of those things that's kind of like, ah, man. So for this last one, we're actually going to talk about a retcon that led to more questions, but I kind of like that led to more questions, and I'll explain why. But this is the Mew retcon. So basically, Mew, you know, Pokemon number 151, this is said to be the first Pokemon, is the ancestor to all other Pokemon. But as you go into Gen 4, you meet Arceus, or Arceus. I swear, I pronounce it both ways. I don't know which way I pronounce this Pokemon. I just say whatever's on my head at that moment. But anyways, this Pokemon is the creator of the Pokemon universe and of many Pokemon. So, in a way, it is the first Pokemon, not Mew. And then there's the fact that, did it create the world and thus the ruler of time, space, and antimatter before Mew? Because that would make Mew the 5th Pokemon to ever appear. And then what about Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie? You know, knowledge, wisdom, or willpower and emotion. You know, they also are probably before Mew. So again, there's all these things that kind of just make it where, okay, so maybe Mew wasn't the first. And in a way, that could be kind of sad, because similar to the whole Oak retcon, it's like, Mew was really special because all these Pokemon that came before it and after it, it was before all of them. It was the ancestor to them. But in a way, I like it because it's kind of, it mirrors real world science and lore and I guess religion. You know, like, no one really knows what happens at the beginning. You know, nobody knows who the first this was or the first that. You know, everybody has their own beliefs. It's why you have different religions, and it's why scientists are all the time going, okay, so we thought evolution worked like this, but we're actually thinking now it probably went like this. You know, all kinds of things. So I like that they added another layer of, nope, you don't know that Mew's the first. Arceus might be the first. You don't know. You know, I like that a lot. I think that just makes the Pokemon world a little bit more similar to ours. But yeah, be sure to let me know in the comments below what you think of these retcons. Do you think Ash Greninja is ever going to return? Also, let me know if there's some retcons, in Pokemon that maybe upset you over the years. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss our future Pokemon videos where we talk about just interesting things from the Pokemon franchise, lore, theories, all kinds of fun stuff. You don't want to miss that. So again, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And until next time, I'll see all of you later.